Stephen Lane. Is it possible that if all of its followers just practiced the major points of the religion, Scientology wouldn't be so bad? Not that I agree with it. I'm just wondering if it's possible that Scientology by itself doesn't indicate that the people involved have to be basically enslaved, abused, imprisoned, or kidnapped. Is it possible that the people in charge have created this craziness on their own and added it to the practice? Don't misunderstand my statement because I think this religion is bonkers. The human element is terribly abusive and should be punished for their actions. Just a curious observation. Okay, Stephen, thanks for the question. And the answer basically is no. It is still an abusive practice because Scientology auditing, by its very nature, is unlicensed therapists treating one another, right? People who have no concept of the brain or neurology or the mind or psychology, who are tampering with other people's trauma and stress. And they're doing it in a radically bizarre fashion, right? Where they're inducing trance. They're driving people back into their past as though the past is the sole and only reason for their trauma or stress reactions, when that's not the case. When they have this entirely made up hierarchy of problems that exist in your mind, like engrams and locks and secondaries. None of these things exist. They're just labels. They're just models for trauma and stress. But Hubbard says they literally exist and that you have mental charge floating in the air around you. It's why I always make these little hand gestures with this stuff, right? Here's an incident. It's literally right here. It's a piece of energy, balled up energy, right? And through Scientology auditing, you're supposed to dissipate that energy and release it so that you have converted it from N theta to theta, right? These are all just nonsense constructs that Hubbard invented out of thin air. And people buy into this stuff as though any of it is real when it's not. So what are you treating when you go into a Dianetics or Scientology session? A myth, a fantasy. That's what you're treating. And you're using techniques that can themselves be psychologically damaging to people, if not outright destructive or fatal to their health, like the purification rundown. That entire purification process of going in and detoxing yourself in a sauna by sweating for 5 hours a day with literally a handful of vitamins and niacin up to 5,000 milligrams a day, that is toxic for your body, and it is encouraged that if you are exhibiting heat exhaustion symptoms, that you continue to do the process because clearly it's working on you. I mean, the whole thing is based on the pseudoscientific principle that drug deposits are stored in the fatty tissues of your body and stay there for the rest of your life. And we know through biochemistry that is an utter lie. There is nothing true about that. Alcohol does not stay in your system. It's water soluble. LSD does not stay in your system. It's water soluble. Pot can stay in your system if you are smoking a tremendous amount of it. And even it is cleared out if you take a break for a few weeks, right? Your body is its own detoxification system. It doesn't need you going into a sauna and using sweat, which, by the way, is the least efficient method of detoxification, to get all these supposed drugs and crap out of your system. It's just not true. So, again, what are you treating? What are you doing? What is it you're supposed to be improving when you keep addressing things that aren't actually wrong with you, but they say that that's what's wrong with you? They insist that that's what's wrong with you. They invent these mental mechanisms called service facsimiles and ARC breaks and goals problem masses. I mean, these things are just these invented constructs that are just ridiculous. So, yeah. So, is the standard practice of Scientology a good thing, and is it necessary in order to help people out in their life and give them a break and let them, improve their existence? Not really. To the degree that there is, a placebo effect, to the degree that there is motivated reasoning, and to the degree that people are sorting out their cognitive dissonance with Hubbard's constructs rather than actually going and learning about real psychology and real neurology and what these things really consist of, we get these nonsense explanations from over 50 years ago that don't have any scientific basis to them at all. And that is, at the end of the day, what Scientology really is. So, no, I don't endorse it at all. And I don't think it's just because Hubbard added some crazy to it or Miscavige riveted up because of his own psychotic tendencies. That's not what makes Scientology bad. Those are the only those just ramp it up a little bit more. It's already just full a bag of crazy. Okay, that's what Scientology actually is. And this is why you see me rail against independent Scientologists is, they can go believe whatever the hell they want, but it's still idiotic to believe it if it's not true. And it's not. And that really is all there is to it. So anyway, thanks for asking the question.